A lovely good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show, Wednesday edition, governance and policy as well as politics with me, Patrick Soko, and I'll be joined by my colleague Sharon Kalimbula on other segments. And as usual, the Breakfast Show is brought to you by Camnet TV for us to get interacting on various matters happening across the country, and we are here to save you, and we'll be waiting to get your perspectives on the various current affairs that are happening in your locality. You can give us that call on some of the things you think we need to follow up through our news and current affairs department, so that we can get moving forward in a quest to provide the checks and balances on governance. You can equally highlight the issues that are affecting you in your locality. We'll be getting your perspective on how you think the recently revised electricity tariffs will affect you or are going to benefit you if there's such a thing. We are going to be getting your views as our dear viewers later on the program. But to get started, we'll go straight into the health corner with Dr. Mufaya there, so that we can get discussing health matters before we go to other segments. Keep it on Camnet.
Good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakobia Namfaya. So this week we are talking about depression, and we have talked about what depression is. We say that depression is a mental condition that is characterized as a mood disorder that affects the way somebody feels and the way that they respond to their environment. Then we also talked about some of the causes. We say that depression can be caused by having insufficient amounts of the neurotransmitters in the brain, such as dopamine and serotonin, that are essential for transmitting information. If these neurotransmitters are lacking or not enough, then they can result in somebody having depression. Then also we say that depression can come about because of having a family history where somebody in the family had depression, and so they can pass it on to some other people in the family. Then we also talked about depression being caused by hormonal imbalances, especially in women who have just delivered, or women who are going through menopause, or if you are having a thyroid condition, issues with the thyroid gland. So today we'll talk about some of the signs and symptoms. Depression can be noticed in people whom you're staying with, and usually it's these people might have symptoms that we can be able to notice. And one of the symptoms is that they would have a depressed mood or feelings of sadness. And these feelings of sadness or depressed mood usually would last for a period of about 2 weeks. So if somebody is having this period where they are not, they're being sad, for like very sad for almost 2 weeks or more than that, then we say that they are having depression. So feelings of sadness that last for at least more than 2 weeks. Then the other symptoms that you need to look out for is that they might have loss of interest in certain activities that they used to enjoy before. So you find that somebody who used to enjoy doing certain things, certain hobbies, or just playing or just doing whatever that they used to love to do before, and now they're not doing those things that they used to do, then you can be able to tell that this person is having some kind of depression or going through a depression. So apart from all these symptoms, they might also have other symptoms of loss of concentration, feeling fatigued. They might be oversleeping or not sleeping enough. They might be overeating or not eating enough. So they could have both extremes of sleeping too much or not sleeping at all. They might also have symptoms of either overeating or not eating enough. Then they would have low concentration and slow thinking, so they might not be thinking very quickly, and they might have low concentration as well, especially if maybe they are working or going to school. You might notice that they are not really concentrating well at school, and maybe they are missing or failing at school and missing work. So those are some of the symptoms that somebody might be having depression. Then the other thing is that they might be feeling fatigued and feeling very tired most of the time. So those are some of the things that you need to look out for. So these are the symptoms of somebody who has depression, and it's important that you look out for these symptoms to be able to tell whether somebody is having depression or not. Sometimes these people might also have suicidal thoughts, so they might either express these thoughts or they might not, and it's just important that you handle them well, to be able to talk to them and just help them whenever that you can, or whichever way that you can. Get them to therapy, get them to see a doctor that can be able to assist them. So today we're talking about the signs and symptoms, and we say that people with depression would have symptoms of feeling sad for at least 2 weeks, which can occur for a period of about 2 weeks. So they might be feeling very sad for about 2 weeks, and they might also have other symptoms of oversleeping or not sleeping enough, overeating or not eating enough, and they might have feelings of fatigue most of the times, feeling very tired, and they might also lose concentration and have slow thinking when it comes to either work or school. Then they might lose interest in activities they used to enjoy before, so they might not do the things that they used to before, and they might also have suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideations. So make sure that you look out for these symptoms in your family. Tomorrow we'll talk about the treatment and diagnosis. How is it treated in the hospital? What are some of the treatment options that are there? Is it possible to get treatment for depression? So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Make sure that you watch tomorrow. Invite your friends and your family members as well, so that we can all learn and protect our mental health and protect our family members and protect those around us. So make sure you tell your friends as well to watch, and if you miss any episode, you can always watch on my YouTube channel, which is at Dr. Nakubia, or you can reach out to me if you have any questions on Facebook at Dr. Nakubia. I'll see you again next time. Stay blessed and stay healthy.
There you have it. That was Dr. Amofaya there doing what she knows best, and that's getting us informed pertaining to matters on health. And that was quite an interesting topic, signs and symptoms of depression. You can understand how depression comes about, what are the symptoms and signs. It is important that you know things around yourself, especially pertaining to moods and how you are feeling. Depression is quite common in Zambia, just like any other country. So let's make sure that we do follow the next episode of the Health Corner, as she continues to explain further details pertaining to this ailment. And it is manageable, but let's make sure that we stay away from things that may depress us. But now let's also look at the Health Corner, so that, or rather not the Health Corner, rather let's look at the money market, so that we can understand how the kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. The Great British Pound is buying at 21 kwacha 69 ngwe and selling at 22 kwacha 11 ngwe. $1 US is buying at 17 kwacha 47 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 81 ngwe. The euro is buying at 19 kwacha 23 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 61 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 95 ngwe and selling at 97 way. So those are your money markets. Interesting enough, we are seeing that the kwacha is in the band range over 17. It was at 16 at some point, and it was almost going to 15. Something that was going to be very exciting to us as Zambians, because we have been keen to see this currency perform better, considering that the currency plays an important role in as far as making sure that the economic fundamentals are functioning properly. Now, let's just also look at one of the stories. We zoom in one of the stories that was in the news, and this is a story where the Zambia Police Investigation Team has warned and cautioned the former Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit National Coordinator Chanda Kawe for being in possession of a Toyota Hilux believed to have been stolen. Police deputy spokesperson Danny Mwale says the motor vehicle is among other properties under investigations as proceeds of crime under the company called Bellam, whose directors are said to be on the run. So let's zoom in this story. We'll be back on the other side.
After having spent close to 2 hours in the interrogation room at the Police Joint Investigative Team office in Lusaka, former Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU National Coordinator Chanda Kawe walked to freedom in the company of his counsel Jonas Zimba and other sympathizers. And Counsel Zimba, who addressed the media shortly after Mr. Kawe left the investigative office, explained that his client was being questioned for the offense of being in possession of a motor vehicle, a Toyota Hilux believed to be a proceed of crime, but was quick to mention that investigations are still ongoing and that his client will have for the second time to appear before the Joint Investigative Wings on date not yet set.
We came for an interview with the police. They had called for our client, Mr. Chanda Kabwe, and they're making inquiries. We've had a very good interaction with the police, very professional.
What inquiries are they making?
Basically, they're making inquiries about some motor vehicle, one motor vehicle, a Toyota Hilux, and they're yet to call us back to come and deal with other matters that will follow. So for now, that's all we can tell you.
And Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale has explained that Mr. Kawe appeared before the Police Investigative Team Tuesday on a matter involving a motor vehicle, a Toyota Hilux, which is among other properties under investigations as proceeds of crime under a company called Bellam, whose directors are said to be on the run.
We recorded a warn and caution statement from the former DMMU coordinator, Mr. Chanda Kabwe, in connection with the Toyota Hilux, registration number BSC 7395, which is among other properties under investigations as proceeds of crime. The motor vehicle, which is believed to be in his possession, was intercepted along the Great North Road around Katuba area on 20th of April 2023.
Since the Patriotic Front administration left office in August of 2021, several former government officials have appeared before investigative bodies, but none has so far been sentenced. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
There you have it. That's a story we were looking at pertaining to former DMMU National Coordinator Chanda Kawe. Quite an interesting story there. You were found with a vehicle of someone who's on the run.
Yeah, interesting. Let's see how it unfolds. We will continue to track that story. As always, we want to ensure that the stories reach logical conclusions to people's satisfaction, even though sometimes it doesn't really go as they think it would. But we try by all means to bring forth this information from time to time. However, Chanda Kawe has been through quite a lot, for lack of a better term. He's appeared before the Parliamentary Accounts Committee for a lot of things, you know, excessive expenditure when he was heading the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, and
it's an institution that has had very young, vibrant heads. It was him, and now it's Dr. Pauline. We should hope that he will not go through the same thing of going through the courts, going through
the
Parliamentary Accounts Committee. Okay, but there, it doesn't necessarily mean you were corrupt or something, but
they're just probing or understanding
they want to understand how you spent certain amounts of money. But he was...
But it's also a tedious process.
It is a tedious process, and he actually voted on several occasions. He didn't want to go there, but he finally managed to go there.
But he had gone there with the jacket.
You know, protective jackets.
Yeah, protective jacket.
And you know, when you go somewhere with that, the questioning and the question and answer session becomes very difficult, because you think, you know, even when they're asking you something, you say, okay, how do you buy, you know, he was at the center of the controversy for the face masks. How do you buy face masks at this amount and not this amount? You know, he already thought, you're accusing me of theft. You know, you're doing all
what I had to do
to save the lives of the people. Okay, you saved us. You saved us.
I didn't receive any single face mask from government.
We did.
I was buying for myself.
We did.
You did.
I think at some point they started giving institutions boxes of those blue face masks, which were actually giving people a flu instead.
Sharon, you do not say that.
I'm not sure, Patrick, if you've gone through this story, which we were trying to follow. Yesterday, a man of LUSAKA's garden compound is likely to be arrested for allegedly sleeping with a dog. This came to light after the wife of the suspect reported the matter to Emersdale Police Station. The accused is reported to have been found in the act by his wife and brother-in-law on different occasions, with the recent one being during the Easter period this month. Now, you and I both know that according to the Zambian laws, it is an offense to do those acts with against the order of nature. You know, you cannot be found doing such things. It's an offense. But this woman, I can only imagine what she went through, Patrick.
Let's listen to the
Let's
story.
listen to the story.
Bizarre circumstance, a man of LUSAKA's garden compound in Mandevu constituency has been arrested for allegedly having sexual contact with a dog. Wife to the victim, Tuesday 25th April 2023, reported the matter to Emersdale Police, saying her husband has been having carnal knowledge of an animal. The problem is believed in the last 5 months, and ever since the couple has been having disputes, with the recent incident being this April 2023 during the Easter holiday, as the accused was found naked with a dog in a bedroom by his brother-in-law. The allegations, which the accused is believed to have admitted during a family meeting. The wife to the accused was further prompted to report the matter to the police after observing abnormal stomach and abdominal pains. The matter was further escalated after the family of the woman refused to allow their relative to be in a polygamous marriage together with a dog, as one of the relatives whose identity has been concealed explains.
Report. The brother to my sister witnessed the husband to my sister sleeping with the dog. He had to remove his all clothes, and he took the dog inside the bedroom where the brother to my sister sleeps. So that was around midnight. Mr. Lungu, who is the husband to my sister, never thought my brother, whom he stays with, will come back. He thought he won't come back. So unfortunately, when he showed up, he found that it was happening. And now, having the evidence at hand, Mr. Lungu felt guilty, so he started slapping my brother.
The family wants the marriage to end and that the law should take its course.
She called the family, they sat together, and the husband admitted that yes, he has been sleeping with the dog. And now the family wanted the marriage to be terminated.
It is a criminal offense to have sexual contact with an animal, according to Cap 87 of the laws of Zambia, Section 155. Any person who has carnal knowledge of an animal is guilty of a felony and liable to imprisonment for 14 years. Before broadcast time, our efforts to get an update from the police could not materialize. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Bestiality, the acts of having sex with an animal. In a number of cases have been reported, Patrick, for animals like ng'ombe, cow, you know, but in Lusaka, a dog. I've got a lot of questions, Mwandi. I've got a lot of questions, but anyways, this is one of the stories that happened yesterday in Lusaka, where we were tracking it. A family of the wife to the victim decided to report this matter to the police, and hopefully they will be helped in terms of finding out exactly what transpired and what they should do further. However, they are very sure that their sister has been married to a man who is a polygamist to her and a dog. Patrick, I think that's what I can say. Because the woman has had knowledge of the husband doing such acts to their dog for quite some time, and has not really come out to say, this is what is happening, I can no longer tolerate this. She's been tolerant, for lack of a better term. It's either she had no courage to talk to somebody, to tell people, until the family gathered at the funeral. That's why she had to open up, because she started developing complications, of which she suspects is because of the exchange of her and the dog. Now, the other aspect is that when the matter was first brought up, the matter was actually first reported to the police initially, before this yesterday's incident. And that they were advised to say, if you report this matter, your husband is likely to be arrested. And the police did not take any action on that matter. The other concern that emerged is that the members of when they sat down to say, no, I would rather opt out of this marriage, the woman was advised by the neighbors to say, you don't have to, if you do if you do that, you lose your marriage and your husband, and you have children, so you have to make sure, for the sake of your children, you have to endure. So she endured then. But again, it continued. You know, the recent one, like we said, we heard in that story, being during the Easter holiday, and it was also discovered by the brother-in-law to the accused. So again, if you look at this episode, some of the information that we were also told by the family is that the man said he usually does that, especially when he's intoxicated with kachasu, which is the illicit spirit, and he is smoking something. So smoked something rather. That's when he does that. That's what he just. That's then he should stop. You know, when you discover that something, when you take something, the best thing you can do is to cut it off. The Bible is very clear. Just chop it off. You know, if it's making you to steal, if it's making you to do, if your mouth is making you to talk too much, close it down. That's if you can close it. That's if you can zip it up. But you know, when you discover that something is not helping you in any way, and it's not a matter of life and death, the best thing you can do is just to cut it off. He says he only does those serious acts of nonsense behavior when he's drunk, when he's not himself. So why not cut off? Why not cut off? There's so many alcoholic beverages that people can take, you know. If at all you can't control yourself, you know, you're an addict to some extent. Let's speak to Score and have a conversation with one of our callers. Hello, good morning. Uh-oh, did we lose that?
We've lost that call. But you can still call us and give us your perspective. We are also getting the people's views on the recently revised electricity tariffs. What impact is it going to have on their livelihoods, on their businesses? We are also getting their views. But in case you want to comment on the stories we are zooming in, like we looked at 2 stories so far. The story pertaining to Chanda Kabwe, who has been investigated by the police pertaining to for being in possession of a Toyota Hilux believed to have been stolen. Yeah, so this is quite an interesting story we are looking at as well. And we also looked at another story on Besharity.
Okay. Hello, good morning.
Hello,
Buena Mauka.
Bueno.
Mutumira kuti.
Buena Mauka bwanji mami.
No.
Mutumira kuti ndimwe bandani.
Mukama na wamlenga ntumira kwa kanyamu.
Okay.
Munga tipaseko ma views yani.
Ina mwanzi nkame nda kuita kwa zimezoendelea seka kasi zona kifika mnonshari. Mwanzi nukupanga kwa sotimo wa mwanzi na mkazi nyumba wina imo wanjona unaimeka si ukomitele yaso. I think you better go to one of those no kind of moon. I will take you.
Aye.
Bakari tunaweza kama tunataka sense ndio tunaweza hapo wasiba. Ukitaka kupata somaliza report kwa mnala. Maana bakari nenda tukapesa na matenda ina kwa sababu na matenda yao sana sana. Wakati tukapesa na problem tena mtumuna tangara pale. Au kinawa ni mwanzi. Mama ngiwe tatu.
Ziko. You too can have your say on the stories that we are zooming in. Also, the topic that we are writing on, your views on the electricity tariffs adjustment and what impact do you think it's going to have on your businesses? Let's start from the household level because it's not only the huge entities that are going to have an impact, but there's the household level as well. Of course, it has been reduced to some extent for those income earners that are at a certain bracket, Patrick, those that use 100 units. But when she wama baobufi, you know, baobufi.
Even if you do baob, sometimes it can't even suffice.
Yeah. So yeah. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
We have another caller. Hello, good morning. Ooh,
we lost that.
Keep trying. We want to talk to you, and let's get interactive on issues of national importance and also issues that are happening in our various localities.
Yeah, so I think the story, Sharon, in the community, you know, it tells us that in these communities, a lot of things happen.
A lot of things happen. Also, Patrick, it also tells the story of poverty. For me, it tells the story of poverty in that when you are poor, you know, my mom always used to say, to be poor is a crime. What she meant was, you don't really have much of a voice. People will not listen to you. You won't really decide what you want, per se. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
This is Milambo.
Yes.
I'm calling you from Mom.
All right, Mr. Milambo, go ahead with your contribution.
Thank you very much. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Mirambo.
Great.
Thank you.
I hope you are getting me loud and clear.
Very
yes,
clear.
We can get you loud and clear.
Sweet. Let me start with the issue of Mr. Chanda Kabwe.
Yes.
That issue to me, I think the new Dawn administration must up its game. The investigators that we have in this country, they are very slow in terms of handling that. Some of these issues are supposed to be disposed of a long time ago. I think we expect the government to do more on such matters. Now, away from that, let me come to the issue of the adjustment of the electricity tariffs. Government must be ashamed of itself. The Energy Regulation Board must be ashamed of itself. Why have I said so? In this country, we are are stating that we have to end the cutting down of trees to use it as charcoal.
Exactly.
Now, when we increase electricity tariff, it is simply said that people now channel their energy to use charcoal for cooking and other issues. Are you going to end or climate change in such a fashion? So when you say that you want to end the no climate change by turning the country to green economy, whatever they say there, and again increasing electricity tariff, this does not add up to me. It has not even made any single thing. So government must be responsible enough by lowering electricity tariff. Government must also be responsible enough by subsidizing stocks. When you subsidize stocks, I am afraid we have to share money in this. I am afraid of a copy. Company can do about 1,000 watts, so that people can use these stocks. Because a good percentage of people that are using charcoal, you know, remember urban areas, and not people in rural areas. So when people in rural areas cut down those trees, burn charcoal, they bring us to urban areas. Okay? Now, government must be reduced electricity tariff so that we can turn this country into a green economy. Now, when you adjust the electricity tariff, in a simple terms, you are telling people that you can tell them for that means you can't get married and Papa, you are giving up without arresting people, but you are either going to keep catching someone that cares, but you are telling people to criminals. So, in conclusion,
exactly.
Yes, just one issue for Kusaka, this one. The Minister of Home Affairs also must happen together. When my area is behind criminals who Kusaka, behind the Bull's and other areas, about system is over my camera and the Majena is there. You monitor those areas with the camera there. Okay? When you get in your office one, my camera is monitoring those areas. And the very city of Sana. The monitoring without, look at those people of Calatan. They're having these little, okay, it's not enough one. But when they eat, normally I don't understand the civil servant. I don't understand the civil servant. When they sit and plan, what is that like that? We have a problem with the COVID makers. I think
All right. I think we lost Mr. Milambo there, but he's pointed out quite a number of issues. Very interesting. I just like the fact that he's also brought out one of the possible solutions, really, like a drone camera. Just to see.
You know, he's moving with technology. He's just saying the truth. He's wondering to say, but how do these people think? You understand?
When they sit and plan, what do they plan?
You understand, like when you have surveillance, right? You know, like public places, like shopping malls, those public areas. People are stealing people's vehicles on shopping malls. If you have good surveillance, you do know the criminals. You detect any suspicious behavior. You move in. So I was wondering, say, what do they plan when they sit in their meetings?
And you find that people are stealing, especially at Levy, which is next to Central Police.
Central Police, yes. So it tells you to say, probably people are focusing on the road traffic issues as opposed to combating criminal activities. You discover that it's motorists more targeted at the expense of these criminals. This is the situation we are finding, and because that department probably it is a most lucrative department where you can you understand what I mean, eh? Exactly, Sharon.
Most lucrative department.
So now is wondering to say even investigations. You remember that, for example, there was a closure on Mr. Cow. He was arrested. It's not the first time he's appearing before the police.
No, it's not the first time.
So he's wondering to say, but all these cases, if you have done your investigation, I'm sure you can dig and then.
You know, at some point, I think it was during the Kakomakanganja rain, if not Stella Libongani rain, under the police, they had launched. I think they brought in equipment for forensic investigations. You know, like detailed investigations. I'm wondering why, if at all we don't have the expertise, or we don't have police officers that are really trained to do those things, Because things go nowhere, you know. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, friends. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Mongu, Western Province.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you getting us?
Camnet, my name.
Okay, you can proceed with your comments, sir.
Yes, so purpose to hear this sad news whereby a human being and the dog, they come up with such kind of a cantankerous situation of having intercourse. And my contribution is that this human being should be taken for mental checkup. Then later on, it will be found that it's normal. The Lord will take it forth. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your views.
Thank you so much. You too can have your say on the stories that we have zoomed. Also, the topic that we are riding on, we are talking electricity tariff adjustment, either upwards or downwards. Does it make sense to you, and how is it going to affect your household before we talk about the big entities? However, let's look at also one of the stories that we ran as of yesterday. The Food Reserve Agency has urged farmers across the country to only sell excess maize produce to the agency. Speaking when UPND Lusaka Province Youth Chairperson Anderson Banda paid a courtesy call on the agency, FRA Public Relations Officer John Chipandwe advised farmers to ensure that they put aside reasonable quantities of their maize produce for domestic consumption. Mr. Chipandwe observed that for a country to be food secure, it should start at household level. Meanwhile, UPND Lusaka Province Youth Chairperson Anderson Banda has commended the government and FRA for moving swiftly to sort out the issues of artificial meal shortage. Let's look at this story and hopefully another one. Meanwhile, you can prepare your phones and call us on the other side.
For the past few weeks, the country has been awash with all the talks about the meal shortages and accusation that the government had sold maize. In order to put a clear picture to this, the Food Reserve Agency recently undertook a tour to some of its depots across the country to establish if indeed the country has enough maize stock. Tuesday, UPND Youth's Provincial Chairperson Anderson Banda paid a courtesy call at the Food Reserve Agency headquarters in Lusaka, whose aim was to appreciate the effort the agency has been putting in ensuring that the country is food secured.
Impression that there's a crisis of hunger in our country. No, there's no maize from FRA. They tried to create that impression, but it has been defeated through the works of His Excellency the President and his government. So we are also trying to do that openly by making sure that you get encouraged. The board chairman, Mr. Bweza, the ED, Mr. Shamatete, and the team, and the members of the staff across the country, we urge you to be very alert of unscrupulous business buyers who would want to disadvantage the farmers.
During his visit, Mr. Banda could not miss the opportunity to commend the government and FRA for moving swiftly to sort out the issue of artificial meal shortage.
Coming here was to openly thank the President, Mr. Kainde Chirema, and his government for moving in swiftly, sort out the issue of artificial meal shortage, maize shortage, and they put up measures that has curtailed selfish people, evil people, who wanted to take advantage and start sabotaging the government efforts through FRA in making sure that they created artificial shortages and started sponsoring riots, protests, which were not supposed to be there, because we've not received any information at no point that FRA announced to the world, the country, that no, meals is a sin. FRA has been very consistent, and we are aware that they still have stocks of maize.
Meanwhile, the Food Reserve Agency has urged farmers across the country to only sell their excess maize produce to the agents. FRA will start procurement of maize for the 2023-2024 crop marketing season by the first week of May 2023.
Understand that for a country to be food secure at a national level, it begins at household level. What we want to see is a situation where farmers should only be selling their excess produce. We don't want farmers to be selling everything that they produce. No. If that happens, then the country won't be food secure. So our advice is to all the small-scale farmers to ensure that once they harvest, they should put aside reasonable quantities of their produce for domestic consumption.
Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
This government will not tolerate any iota of division. We shall continue to promote unity in our country, and we urge you to join the efforts of government in promoting unity in the country and desist from planting seeds of division in the country by always wanting to proclaim and promote negative propaganda that is aimed at planting a seed of division in the country. That you will not be allowed to do. Today we are talking, the next we are going to ensure that action is taken. For the positive sentiments plus what the mines are paying into the country, the Kwacha has nowhere to go but strengthen. There is no magic. So it is folly to want to begin to insinuate all manner of things, that the government has done this in order for the Kwacha. No, sir. This Kwacha is strengthening because of the discipline of this government. The mining are able to declare their final taxes for the year and pay, because this government has a stable mining tax environment or tax regime environment for the mining sector. They are no longer in the ex-regime that had every year in, year out, tax regimes were changing. Every time the minister went to parliament to present the budget, the tax regime for the mines was changing. This time around, it is consistent, it is predictable. Hence, the mining houses are now able to even declare their final year taxes on time because they are in a stable environment.
Those in the low income bracket, those who just use electricity for lighting, those will benefit from this tariff arrangement because there's been a reduction. But for those who have stoves, and, geysers and other kind of energy using equipment, they will have to pay through the nose. And it will be like that for some time to come. So for us, as the Green Party, we have always advocated for more generation of power. Capacity must be increased, both in terms of solar, but also because of the need for base load, like when you have to need power in the night, when the solar systems can't work, we need hydropower to be scaled up significantly so that we are secure. And that's why our appeal to government is that instead of playing around with the numbers through ERB and ZESCO, let's reduce power in the country by increasing the generation capacity. Hydropower, of course solar is important, and other energy forms we need to explore them so that the more we have power, the more we can benefit our people by reducing the tariffs that are applicable.
Well, there you have it. Those are some of the stories that were topical in the news of last evening. And we were looking at the last stories pertaining to the Green Party President, Mr. Peter Sinkamba, giving his perspective on what he feels are the consequences of increasing electricity. He mentions the fact that it is owing to the fact that ZESCO has limited installed generation capacity of about, 3,000 megawatts. Now, it's saying if we have we are close to 10,000 or 30 or let's say 30,000 megawatts, we don't need to increase electricity because we have excess. You know, when you generate electricity, you can't take it back. So you make sure that people use it. So now when people are using it, you make sure that you can even subsidize it if you want. And we have the surplus is exported to the region because the demand for electricity in the region is always there, and it's still high. And if you look at South Africa, it continues to grapple with that problem. Yeah, and it is among the determinant factors of the elections in South Africa that will be coming. And as the president from that particular country is in trouble. The ruling party has been trying hard to explain this issue. It tells you to say, so there's actually a huge demand and opportunity for us as a country to maximize on this opportunity. Like we always say, Zambia is a land-linked country. Now, we're still operating as if we're a landlocked country. We don't want to look outwards. Now, these are the concerns. Now, people are bearing the burden now, because like that band which the ZESCO is saying that you can have electricity, we have reduced this band. They know that eventually you migrate out of that band. When you want to watch your TV, you want to use your cooker, you want to warm your water in a kettle, you move out immediately from that band. It within, I don't know how much it can accommodate.
You know, with the technological aspect coming into play, people literally use electricity for anything. Some people would use electricity for washing dishes, washing their clothes. Even machine. Otherwise, you know, some people would prefer to use a machine to bath them.
Exactly.
You know? And that is electricity.
I know.
But these are
Yeah.
things that the power utility has been discouraging. So
you know,
things that you can do so that we reserve some power and share as a country, because
yeah, but again, if you look at the advancement of digital technology, there are many things that electricity aids in our households. Even if, for instance, you have a CCTV camera to enhance security, that needs to be powered up probably throughout. So if you look at those issues, even at night, you need to leave your bulbs on. You may invest in a light that is advanced to make sure that you have yes. But all the same, if you add this small component, Sharon, they go to something beyond the 100 kwacha. So 100 units. You understand? So even if you are in the small bracket, by you charging your phones and charging your stuff, you end up consuming beyond that 100 units. That 100 units for me, it is not here nor there. So again, it is being subsidized by not ZESCO itself. It's not like they're doing people a favor. There's been concern that, in fact, the bracket that is in category 3 and 4 and are actually paying the price there. Now, if you are also going to choke those people again, in those categories, it means that they have less disposable income to look at other ventures, to develop or to push on other aspects. So again, increasing amidst stagnant wages has been a concern for a while now.
Indeed, Patrick, those are some of the concerns that people continue to raise in terms of their electricity tariffs adjustment. This has been subject of debate for quite a number of years, and finally it has been effected. The last adjustment was done like 4 years ago, and the energy expert Patrick, Mr. Johnston Chukwanda, issued a statement, I think 2-3 days ago, where he was in support of this adjustment and said people really need to embrace this, owing to the fact that we last had a price adjustment of electricity, I think about 4 years ago. So he said it's a welcome move, and also the increment that time was about 113, but now it's about 100. So for him it was okay. It was a good thing, and it was supposed to be welcomed by everybody. However, we still continue to monitor and get views from different people. It's been done, and there's nothing much we can do, but we talk about it and probably find solutions. If at all your bracket is too high, you are at a disadvantage because you're going to pay more. Already, there's somebody that I was talking to who actually uses about 2,000 kwacha, and that's domestic use, household level, you know.
And when I was thinking, Mr. Sinkamba said he uses 3,000 kwacha.
That's the household level. And that's
it's too much. And if you look at all these changes that are coming into being, we are looking at an economy that has been staggering, in that there has been less economic activities. People have been affected in terms of the cost of living. As measured by JSUTR, we are looking at about close to 9,000, and it's quite too high for the majority of Zambians to afford such a kind of living in terms of the cost. So when you add on the cost of electricity, then I will tell you the BNB.
3,000 kwacha per month.
Yeah, the BNB for next week. I think the others you would use electricity throughout, eh?
Like for the person who uses about 2,000 kwacha, 2,500 kwacha per month, they literally have electricity gadgets throughout.
Again,
washing machine.
Yes, you have a washing machine. How to use it?
Even the bride, you know, they use bride.
You are baking, Sharon. What do you expect to do? For example, if you have intimate scones. But again, if you have intimate scones and everything, how do you expect it to? So all those businesses will be affected. Even if you are saying, the alternative, Sharon, let me assure you, you are assuring the alternative. You are saying charcoal. That gas you're talking about is not readily available.
It's not readily available, and that's why I'm going.
And our previous caller did indicate that now the trees will suffer.
And you know, yesterday
people vent their anger on the forest.
An interaction with WWF and National Ankombo, the country director there, and the other person who is responsible for looking at the forestry and stuff. He said we use about 4 million tons of charcoal every year. That's more than I think the copper mined in this country, and about 8% of that LUSAKA uses that charcoal. At the same time, about 3% of that charcoal that is actually cut, the trees cut, is what is accounted for, is what is taxed. So about 90-something% is not taxed at all. So, you know, the CD was actually talking about finding a better way of balancing between regulation and cutting of trees. According to her, she says, you know, Zambia is not the only country with poor people. You know, the excuse of, no, this is people's livelihoods, you know, cutting trees, what people and living from that. But she said, we're not the only poor country in the world, you know. Measures have to be put in place because the rate at which the forest is depleting is beyond. And if we continue on this trajectory, at the end of the day, we'll realize that we're turning into a desert. Some areas already, you cannot even do any form of agriculture.
You know, yeah, you are right on that one. And in terms of planning, what have we done so far to say, we're looking at as the population increases, in terms of households, what are we looking at? Are we going to be going up, or are we going to be clearing land for settlement purposes? Are we going to be making sure that we continue to cut down trees for agricultural purposes? Those are the questions that we need to be answering or responding to, because at the end of the day, you discover that if we are not going to make the right decision in terms of planning, we'll continue to see uncoordinated housing development, uncoordinated agricultural practices. We are going to see people building houses in dambos, in watersheds, in environmental zones. So you discover that at the end of the day, what will be affected is the nation overall. And if you see what climate change has done to us, we should be able to pay attention and attest to that. If we look at the episodes of floods we witnessed, we shouldn't forget, but because we were able to walk freely now and move freely because we no longer see water in our communities and think the situation itself is okay. It is because of these activities we undertake. If we saw dry spells, we saw in Gwembe, if at all there will be any agriculture to talk about, people are highly affected in that locality if, as we speak, by dry spells. Others were affected by floods. So if you look at how climate change has been affecting us, as we make decisions such like the one ZESCO and DRB are taking, in terms of increasing electricity tariffs, they should be thinking again, because at the end of the day, we may disregard the environment because we're at an advantage position. But remember that you have relatives, and the future will also judge you, because these things may not manifest now, but they'll manifest in the future. So we are looking at these issues. No wonder we have the Minister of Green Economy and Environment. What is its stance pertaining to these issues? If you look at alternatives to charcoal, we have struggled to make sure that there is a readily available alternative to charcoal as a country. Now, if we advance that agenda or policy, we can make a lot of progress in terms of safeguarding the environment. as a country.
Indeed, Patrick, very, very elaborate there. And, you know, the conversation we had was very fruitful and alarming and enlightening, and it was just something that was actually, it will make you feel bad at the same time, but then it will enlighten you to say, this country, much as it has the ministry responsible for green economy, it hasn't done much to ensure that it puts forth measures that will deter certain people from doing certain things, especially when it comes to issues to do with cutting of trees. But if at all we can do cutting of trees, let us do it responsibly, let us get the correct taxes from it, at least, and maximize our revenue. But then we don't do that. The same way when it comes to game management, you know, animals. They say you can poach, but you need to be licensed. And when you're licensed, you need to pay a certain amount for that. That is regulation, you know, and people that are registered poachers or whatever you call them, they'll know which type of animals to hunt, you know, than like anybody else who will just go there and do it illegally. Equally, when you have people that are licensed to cut the trees, to burn to make the charcoal and stuff, they will know what they're supposed to do. They'll be given the right regulation and stuff, but we don't do those things. There's no way we can have only about 3% of the charcoal that is being cut regulated. I think that's not okay. We need to up our game as a country. The ministry responsible for green economy needs to look at these things and begin to do the right thing. Because you cannot just have a ministry and a minister who is always traveling, who is always out of the country, who is always out of the province, only on weekends when there's a cry for the mines, you know, there's this, that's why they will go there. Can things be done the way they're supposed to be done?
Yeah, you know? You're right.
You're a minister, you're a politician.
We have the ministry that tolerates manufacturers of plastics to be roaming the street, to be charging us, the consumers, for a plastic they were giving us for free, and they're not contributing to the environment. You only put that regulation to punish the consumers, because at the end of the day, we are paying these chain stores 2 kwachas per shopping. You can imagine how much they are making out of that plastic. Exactly. That plastic they used to give us for free, and you just made them to be charging us. And what do they do in terms of conserving the environment? Those are discussions we need to be talking about. But if you see, like you said, that the Ministry of Green Economy and the Environment, if it is viable at all, those are the questions that we need to be answering as a country. If it is responding to these problems, we have the extended producer responsibility regulation that compels manufacturers of plastic to take responsibility for the plastic they manufacture. However, this law has only to a larger extent benefited the chain stores and those people who in small shops and timbers who are selling this plastic to the shoppers.
And they end up selling plastic which are not even
conforming to the standard, because under that regulation it has to be 30 microns and above. But you see, plastic below 30 microns is still being sold in the streets. It is all over, wherever you go. And if you look at our streets, are littered with plastic. All these also are manufacturing beverages. We have a lot of companies, they have littered the streets. To what extent are they paying back to the community in terms of removing that plastic? If at all, because if you look at water, Sharon, that bottled water is cheap. It can cost you 1 kwacha. But you know what is the cost? It is the plastic they manufacture, the bottle. But I think, why don't they have a policy to make sure that when you buy, if you drink, you can give them back, but they should be able to pay you for that plastic, for that bottle. But you discover that now people who are also getting this garbage are people who are not even benefiting, and they are given peanuts when they go to sell this same plastic to these recycling companies. So these industries should be supporting the waste pickers, so that they can be able to earn a living.
Deliberate policies need to be put in place.
We're just a passive country.
Needs to be, you know, whatever legislation we have, it needs to be followed. If it means having departments that are strictly looking at certain things under the ministry, I think it would be good.
I think they are there, but they are just sleeping. Like our caller was explaining. What do they plan when they sit in those meetings?
You know, all they have is just literature that should
Pamozi,
don't even understand
meeting that stakeholder meeting what meeting ketesiko what, and what is on the ground is different.
The only thing that I've managed to see work under the ministry, even before it became Ministry of Green Economy,
is what?
That time it was Ministry of Planning and National Development. National Planning, yes, National Planning. Well, they had a department of environment, and it was very viable. It was the issue of, I think, planting trees or something in selected areas like Eastern Province, I think, and East and Southern Province. But if I want. Let's go. Hopefully, one of the last callers. Hello, good morning.
Yes, sir, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Mr. Mianda. Sorry for coming back once more.
No, it's okay, Mr. Mianda. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you very much. The gentleman you are within the studio is highlighting issues in a sweet manner. On the issue pertaining to the cycling of these waste materials, the plastic bag, the local authority is tasked to do a number of missions, and they are not doing that. It is a design institution that are supposed to create sanity in this country in a perfect manner. It is the local authority under Mr. Gary Combo. In this country, people are littering around anyhow. Where are the council police? Okay? The problem we have in this country, members of parliament have concentrated very much on speaking English. But in this country, are speaking Tonga, Bemba, Nyanja. But what was able to do? But today we have people who are competing on how to speak English. Secondly, when these people make these laws, they are jumping up and down like Tom and Jerry. We are lawmakers. But they don't come down to Camnet TV and pay you to say, Takara Palestina Kigambe Mutinyanja, Bantu Wazeri. Amen. Here Panapa, 10 so. Problem number 3. Parliament has become a zoo of politicians. Parliament in this country has become a zoo of politicians. They are not there in their constituencies. Go to Parliament, they are discussing things endlessly. The issue of the gentleman who was found sleeping with a dog, having sex with a dog. You have to understand that people are sex contaminated. People are sexually contaminated. And now in this country, people must also recall that they have to go to church. Now when they go to church, what exactly do they preach to the people? Today they are just preaching about wealth. Today they are just preaching about... No. Church angles of sensitizing people in areas of legalism. Because I've not heard that for the first time. I also heard it somewhere in my way. A people was caught sleeping with having sex with a pig. And also I heard it somewhere where someone was caught having sex again. They don't. Which means our society is like slowly becoming sexually contaminated. So we should advance in a manner impacting knowledge in the people. The problem that I found in this country is that we have grabbed the power from our parents and give that power to the wrong people, institutions such as the police officers. Do you know what happens if too much power the police officers to control children? They're contaminating your children. Give power to the parents. In the Bible is very clear. That man Rubiana, parents, Kamtengo, party today, one of Kamena Kamtengo, assault. Police officers will come with the Randy Cruiser. Now, Kamena tells the appearance, arrest the parents. That's in the name. Today, that's why I have this society of junkies. The society has become so contaminated. The one is said. So thank you very much, gentlemen. The issue of cycling our waste materials, I think this one should be a serious matter. And the people want to speak them these bottles of alcohol that are just throwing anyhow. Companies must move in so that there are people who create employment by picking those waste materials for recycling. You cannot be paying carbon charge.
Mr. Mianda's carbon tax. Mr. Mianda's laughed.
All right.
Interesting.
Thank you so much for your call. Thank you so much for your contribution. Very insightful there. We want you to continue.
Power to the people.
Power to the people, indeed, Patrick. You're very elaborate there.
Power to the people.
Insightful.
Yeah. Power to the parents,
indeed.
and Sharon is a parent.
This is a direct effect of adjusting electricity. You know, people will have a little access to this. Instead, they'll have more access to charcoal, which even last time, I think we did an interview with one of the opposition leaders when there was that proposal to say initially it's supposed to be effected in January 2023. I think we did the interview in December when the revelations were out to say we may increase in January. But the concerns that were raised were that this is against the fight for climate change, you know. We are going to have more trees being cut because people will be opting for charcoal, you know. So these are some of the concerns, but we surely hope that at personal level we will do something and work out something better. Interesting,
well said, Madam. And you know, on these issues, it's quite delicate. We don't even know, you know, as looking at this issue, you know, it's like the government won't do anything for now because it's like these are part of the conditionalities as suspected by stakeholders that the International Monetary Fund, IMF, is giving Zambia now. If if they are imposing that, then we have no choice. But however, this has also long-term negative consequences for this country, and it is about time also as a country we start consuming, developing within our means. You know, we should be looking inwards and not looking always for debt. You know, even debt, even at personal level, Sharon, you are aware that sometimes you know, Karova, you end up you end up losing everything, because batengeramu TV, batengeramu chirimba, batengeramu chana. At the end of the day, you just have a brazier there. That's the only remaining, so those are the consequences. It's the same as Zambia now. We are going not to have critical institution like, for example, ZESCO, because ZESCO now, it is our institution as the public. But look now, it is because of Nkongole, it is being controlled and what it should be doing. So if we are not careful, it may go to Zambia. It may be controlled and tell us what we should be doing. You know. So at the end of the day, if you look at these in Congole, they are not good for us. And you know, I was looking at an interesting video, Sharon, on how the West plans that usually make sure that the sub-Saharan Africa remains poor. Among the critical pointers to that was that dependence to foreign aid is among the strategies they use through the World Bank, the IMF, to make sure that we remain indebted, so that we are always constantly thinking about paying back the loans. So we have no time to think creatively. So the little money they will give us will build these few schools that are not even classy, or let me say modernized, you know, they need to just sustain us for a while they continue to benefit from our resources. They won't tell us the agenda for industrialization. They are just telling us, taking us through a path of consumption. So if you look at, when I was listening to that video, I said, but I think this is happening to Zambia. It is happening to other countries. It is happening to many countries in the sub-region. So if you look, at the end of the day, financial independence is vital, even just at personal level, at family level. Governance is about family level. You can imagine it is just your sister who is providing at your home. You just you do anything. Your younger sister will send you. You
don't have much of choice. Like we were talking about that lady who is a victim, the husband is a perpetrator, alleged perpetrator, you know, to have been having carnal knowledge with the dog. she got wind of the information. She found out, she knew the truth, but she couldn't report. Why? Because her neighbors were telling her, no, your husband will go to jail, you will have nobody to support you.
Yeah, but again, did I mention another tactic that he used to make sure that she does not leave the house? The man used to get her pants. Underwear. So he gets them. Then the woman, what's happening? You get a sense. What does he want to do? You know that's mythical, and it is associated to these issues pertaining to witchcraft. So people are craft in these communities. They can do weird things.
Yeah, indeed, they can do weird things.
As we come to the dying minutes, madam,
yes.
Give us those sweet concluding remarks.
Oh my God! Like the other caller who said sweet. From Monze.
Yeah.
All right, so you have been watching Camnet TV. Thank you so much for always tuning in and supporting us. We appreciate your viewership. Indeed, we zoomed at some of the stories that in headlines. We appreciate the callers that took time to just call and give us the feedback on the topic that we've been discussing this morning, and also suggestions on how best we can do certain things as a people, as a country. So it starts with you at individual level. Ensure that you play your part in the developmental aspirations of this country. Be financially free and use the right information that you have gathered wherever to better yourselves.
Well, we always say here, democracy means your views, my views, our views matter. Until next time, when we come back with another interesting episode of the Camnet Breakfast Show, tomorrow, actually on Thursday, we'll be back with another interesting episode with a guest to get discussing topical and current affairs.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning.